trick for Wayne Gretzky.
It's a power play goal.
An incredible win for the New York Rangers.
Do you believe it? Rangers win.
When people use the phrase living the dream,
The waiting is over.
that applies to me.
And this one will last a lifetime.
Hello, big boy.
Welcome.
Nice to see you.
Good
How
to
you
see
been?
big boy.
That
Oh,
is
good.
quite a golf cart you have to drive up here.
I thought it might be blue.
I might take that one home.
How are you? It's been a wonderful ride. So this is called a mic flag, right, Sammy? If you look, the microphone goes
There
right
it is.
inside there and you talk and all this stuff. You think of the years that you were there. How many years?
40.
40. Isn't that something? Think about the memories of 40 years that
Oh.
are around this thing right here. You grew up in New York and got to work for these guys in the most famous arena in the world.
Growing up in Brooklyn, what was life like for you soon after the World War II and life in the United States?
Life was good as a kid. Lived in the Borough Park section of Brooklyn, which was multi-ethnic, people of different backgrounds and different religions, and a lot of kids. But it was a good time because we had a lot of freedom, but we had a lot of fun.
And I know long before you talked about sports for a living, you played sports, high school and college. What were the sports you gravitated toward, and why were sports so important growing up?
We played all sports. We played stickball and punchball and boxball and football, and then there was a park 2 blocks away where we played basketball.
What are your earliest memories coming to the Garden? Not this Garden, but the Garden.
The old garden on 8th Avenue, 49th and 50th Streets. I think back on a lot of Sunday afternoons. My friends and I would get on the subway in Brooklyn. The doors would open at 4:30. We had what were called GO cards, General Organization, and for 50 cents, we got into the game. Well, at 4:30, they opened the door and you just tear up the stairs as fast as you could to the balcony.
Who was your favorite Ranger?
I would say it was Andy Bathgate. He was the guy. He was the future Hall of Famer. He was the star. He was the goal scorer. But there are a lot of fun guys. Little Camille Henry was skating around and scoring goals. And then Gump Worsley came along. And all I can remember is that they played without helmets. He played without a mask. He would get hit in the face, get cut. They'd stop the game. He'd go off into the locker room, get stitches, and come back out and play.
Everybody has a story, Sam, about when they knew they wanted to do what we do for a living. What's yours?
I watched a lot of the baseball games, and Mel Allen was my favorite. I was a Yankee fan, and I listened to Mel Allen, and he had that great Southern twang to him, and he had tremendous excitement. Plays were exciting with the way he called them. And I would go out in the schoolyard, which was across the street, and we would play games, and I would do my little imitation of Mel Allen. As I grew and played ball in high school and played ball in college and was the captain of the teams, I was a pretty good player, but you reach the point where not good enough to take that next step. And the next best thing to me was, when I thought about it, was going into being around the games, being those, whatever game it was, I wanted to be around the games. So I would say that's what led me to become an announcer.
What do you remember about some of your first times as a professional in this building? And your first partner was Phil Esposito. And the laugh says
Yes,
it all.
he enjoys having fun, but once the game started, no one knew the game better.
I look for the Rangers to be a little bit more offensive tonight. They have to be.
Didn't know the players. That was my job. I would say, Phil, You have to go to the morning skates, find out who's playing and what, and talk to the player. No, I don't want to be a distraction. You do that, Sam. If it happened once, it happened half a dozen times in a game where a guy would make a play and say, Sam, where'd this guy come from? Where'd they get this guy from? Phil, well, they called him up a week ago. And so, but Phil was fun-loving, but a great hockey person. Once the game started, he knew the hows and whys of every play that occurred on the ice. And those were 2 fun years. We enjoyed each other's company. We enjoyed working together. Then when Phil was elevated to general manager of the New York Rangers, I like to say I got him a good job. John Davidson had gone up to Canada and became the premier analyst on Hockey Night in Canada. MSG offered him a deal and he came back to Madison Square Garden and we worked 20 years together.
To paraphrase Sam from 1994, Sam has been a part of creating a lifetime of memories for everybody who listens to him during a Rangers broadcast.
Please join us in congratulating Sam on a remarkable career.
When it came to JD, Sam, I think any Ranger fan would say the fun they had in the booth and the chemistry they presented was so obvious, jumped off the television every game. Chemistry can be fickle. Why do you think you and John worked so well for so long?
John is, again, a gregarious person, as you well know, great personality, and a guy who dedicates himself to all things. If it's sports, he's dedicated to that. If it's his family, it's to that. So we became very close friends, and we're close friends to this day. And it was a great 20 years, but seeing his work ethic and seeing how he dealt with players and coaches and general managers and the notes he took, which were in some phony language, I don't know, only he could work his, could read his scribbled notes. But watching him work made me realize you really have to put a great amount of effort into every game, every broadcast. So that he taught me a lot that way.
I guess when you think of all the time we spent together, that '94 season, which ended up with a cup being won in New York, there's a million stories.
Oh, it was interesting because of what had happened the 2 years before. '92, that team was good enough to go all the way and got eliminated by the Penguins in the second round.
That's it. It's over. The Penguins win and advance to the Wales Conference Final.
And '93, the team fell apart at the end. Roger Nielsen got let go in mid-season, and the team fell out of the playoffs. The Mike Keenan hiring was a huge factor in what went on that year.
It was really interesting. You know, Neil Smith and Mike, they were running the team and made a lot of changes, and there was changes to come during the season, especially at trade deadline.
Big.
But one thing that I found interesting that year is watching the Rangers evolve, watching them play. I mean, the goaltending, the defense, the toughness, the speed, the goal scoring, it was all there.
Mark Messier was the guy who pulled it all together. What a special athlete, and for me, what a thrill to be around a person like that and a player like that.
These trades are hard to make for great players like Mark Messier, and the thing that we talked about a lot was he has no fear of winning. Nothing. No fear of winning. You got to stare at the job. And I think, from my point of view, winning in New York because the Rangers hadn't won for so long was a hard thing to do. It just, there's so many factors involved, but he had no fear, none. He just stared with the eye of the tiger, and we all know that they won. And again, it was hard. They had to make some deals at the trade deadline. You know, Mike Keenan was involved with Neil, and they brought in some pretty good hockey players.
They traded some great players. They brought in the type of players that Mike Keenan thought was going to win, and had the style of play that he felt he needed in order to win. And who can criticize that, because he's the only one who's done it in all these years. Mike Keenan was the one who was able to get it done. Game 7 against the Devils, what a series that was. 7.7 seconds to go in regulation. Rangers up 1-0.
The Devils score! They have tied it! The Devils have tied it with 7.7 seconds to go!
Valeri Zelapukin scores. We go to overtime. And we're in the booth. The guys are in the studio doing the between periods, going to overtime. And I'm sitting down like this. I'm sitting on a bench there like this. And you walk by and you look at me and go, "What's the matter?" And I look up and I go, "What else can happen to this team?" And thankfully, they won that series.
Nato around the net. Nato puts it. Score! Score! The Rangers win! The Rangers win! They're going to the finals! The Rangers win!
Nato, and they went on to win the cup. But I just think back to that moment, as it could have gone either way. And, with all the mishaps that have happened in the years prior, that they found a way to win.
See, I even go back to Game 6 of the Devil series, when, Mark had a great game and talked about it prior. Mike Richter in the first half of that game was the reason the Rangers were still in it. From my point of view.
We couldn't even do the game, remember?
Yeah, oh yeah. And Mike Richter kept making save after save after save. The Devils were good. They were really good. And they knew a lot about winning too. And then for Mike Richter to give his team a chance that you have to do when you're on the road in the playoffs and you're the #1 goalie, he did. And then the Rangers got it going, scored, and Mark got it going and scored, and that was so. It's a sports interesting stress. That's fun to be a part of.
Do you remember though? We were sitting upstairs. The start of the game, the first period and into the second, we were so depressed. We thought, it's over.
Because we weren't doing the game.
That's right. We weren't doing the game, and it looks like they're going to lose. And thankfully, I mean, what a turnaround. Keenan calls that timeout, and Alex Kovalov scores, and then Messier took over the game.
Kovalev to Messier. Messier shot. Score! Kovalev again. Save, throw, goal, rebound. Score! Mark Messier gets his second goal. John McLean center for the empty net. Mark Messier. Do you believe it? Do you believe it?
Obviously, if you're a Ranger fan, there's probably no more significant moment in your lifetime than 1994. Not only was it the Rangers winning the Cup, but it was the emotion, the passion. New York City was literally turned on its head. Sam was a part of conveying that moment in a way that nobody will ever forget.
You remember the 7th game against Vancouver? There was an icing that we sort of didn't think was icing, but it was icing. So there's a face-off to the right of Mike Richter, last few seconds of the game. The puck is dropped. The puck went back to the corner. You were talking, and the run down the win. And if you look at the photos, everybody starts to celebrate. Steve Larmer is in the backboards holding his check against the wall while everybody else is celebrating. He's still doing it. He's still holding the guy just in case, right? That's the type of player he was, and that's what it took. I mean, Vancouver came back. They put up a hell of a fight.
Yeah,
that was something.
They did.
Yeah.
We thought the series was over after the 4th game.
Yeah.
It was 3-1. They won the 2 games in Vancouver. We're coming back. We're talking about where the party's going to be after after Game 5.
The waiting is over. The New York Rangers are the Stanley Cup champions, and this one will last a lifetime.
You remember how you felt?
Oh, yeah. I was shaking. I'll be honest, I've never told anybody that. My right leg wouldn't stop. It just kept going over the last minute or so there. And you wanted to just stay in the moment and broadcast the game, but it was something that so many people wanted so badly for so long, and to see it come to fruition, but it was so hard to get there. you sit there and you watch everybody else. You watch the fans, you watch everybody. And the garden was shaking. The place was just vibrating.
What a great
feeling. And the families were really excited. It's a memory that it's a memory that lasts a lifetime, Sam.
You know, it was like very little sleep the next couple of days. The Cup was won on Tuesday, and then we got word that they wanted you and I to anchor the coverage on Friday of the parade.
At the studio in Madison Square Garden,
Yes.
not at the parade.
Not at the parade.
Didn't go over well.
You weren't happy.
Didn't go over well at all.
And welcome to our coverage of the Stanley Cup Victory Parade.
What can we do? So we went to the studio. They had felt that you and I would be the difference from all the other networks covering the parade. And Al Trotwick was down there, and Bruce Beck was down there, and everybody, and we're watching the parade start to go, and yeah, we're feeling a little bit jealous, right?
We were being professional,
Yes,
but we
yes.
were jealous. Yeah.
And then, right in the middle of being on the air
Live,
and on
live,
camera,
yeah.
Well, we're in the. What are we?
two policemen open the door and walk in.
Follow those men. Follow those men. Sounds good.
Come on, let's go. Give you a ride.
We'll see you from City Hall. This is great.
All I know is they said, "You guys, you're coming with
us." Yeah. So I had my briefcase and I'm opening it and throwing stuff in and trying to make sure I didn't forget anything. And then
I remember saying, "John, forget the briefcase.
Yeah.
Let's go."
And it was the most astonishing thing. The Beatles did a song called Yellow Submarine. And I know now what that's about, because we got in that police car and those guys headed down towards the Canyon of Heroes and they were flying. I mean, they were lights flashing and you and I are in the back seat like this, being jolted back. And all of a sudden we're down there and I look and all there was people. Faces on both sides. That's all there was. And that's what I felt like, that Yellow Submarine thing. Just faces when we were there in this bubble. And it was again, I keep using that word, fascinating. This was fascinating. One of the great stories I heard was from Al Trotwick, who was a broadcaster with MSG. And he had gotten to know a family on Long Island where he lived, and he'd drive into the Garden all the time. He got to know a family that owned a deli. And their family were gigantic Ranger fans. And the dad passed away prior to the finals. And what Al told us was when Messier scored, the Rangers won. The winning goal was this time of this period, and the date was this. That family went out to the graveyard, and they had a pipe from the casket come up, and they screwed it, and they talked, "Hey, Dad, the Rangers won the cup. Messier this, and the time of the goal was this, and it was 7 games against the Vancouver Canucks. We love you." And that was the end. But and I sit here and I hear that story and I go, that's Ranger fans.
Yeah.
That's Ranger fans. What they went through all those years and hearing 1940.
And the sign, "Now I can die."
That's
in
right.
peace.
Now I can die in peace.
You have another decade with JD, and then he becomes a team executive, and Joe Micheletti joins the booth. And I know you won't say it, but I will. It's a testament to your greatness that you could have a 2-decade run with two very different broadcasters.
You know, you say different broadcasters, but the same work ethic and same work habits Joe has that John had. Joe does his notes on his yellow piece of paper, and only he can read them. But Joe talks to players before games. Joe talks to coaches. We do that together. Joe talks to general managers and executives the same way John did. Joe does the same thing, and it makes for an even broadcast, and it makes for an in-depth broadcast. Everybody knows who we want to win the game, but we don't have to wave the pom-poms, and there are great players on the other team, and we appreciate that as fans and as announcers, and we make sure that people are, that we can inform people about the other team as well.
19 years, we've been together a long time, but our first game together right here at the Garden first game of the season was an unbelievable special night.
Hey, welcome. This is great. I'm really excited for you and for me, and I'm looking forward to a great season.
Sam, at that game, we found out when they were introducing the players as they skated on the ice that Jaromir Jagr was the new captain, and that was Brendan Shanahan's first game. And he ends up scoring 2 goals, including his 600th of his, unbelievable career. So, I mean, I think back, that's how you and I started with the Rangers. We had done some games with Fox, but that started an unbelievable, lucky time for me. 19 years, there's a lot of games we've worked together. Yeah. But some of the, some of the highlights that we've had, and a lot of them, most of them have been your calls as special moments. And I think about, I think about Artemi Panarin's, Game 7 overtime winner against Pittsburgh to win the series.
Panarin moves in, he shoots, he scores! He scores! Rangers win!
Great shot, the building erupts. It's such a great feeling in this building. I always get goosebumps. I always look around at the building when I walk in, because it's such a wonderful place. I remember when it opened and they put a gondola up there because they forgot to put in a broadcast booth. Yeah. But it's always been someplace special. To call the playoff games that we've had, especially the last few seasons, have been exciting as well, when the team has come back and really looked like they had a shot to be in it, maybe get there, like last season. We had some fun there. There's nothing like calling a game here at the Garden and calling a playoff game, and when I think of it, I get goosebumps.
Yeah, I have had the privilege to sit next to you and listen to your calls. It's not just the playoffs, though. I mean, I was thinking, Mika's 5th goal of the game. Wow. Here against Washington in overtime.
Panarin up the middle, Zibanejad. He goes to the net. He scores! He scores! The Rangers win! Mika Zibanejad with 5 goals. Do you believe it? That was a special game of all time for a player to score 5 goals in a game. And then we had that back and forth. Ovechkin scored, and then Mika scored. Right. And Ovechkin scored, and finally Mika scored. That was the game winner. And a game that always will stand out, not only for me, but for anyone who loves hockey. That's a special moment.
Since you and I have worked together, I mean, there's been some special things happening, like Chris Kreider scoring 50.
It's Chris Kreider! It's number 50!
Derek Stepan's, joining the Rangers in his first game ever. He scores a hat trick in Buffalo with his mother there.
In front, Stepan scores! It's a hat trick!
Derek Stepan doing that's an amazing memory. Up in Buffalo, a great way to start the season. Derek was a terrific player to get to know, and an outstanding New York Ranger. The personalities are great. I love to be around the players and to talk with them. Chris Kreider, coming to the Rangers right out of college, was a great story, right into the playoffs. Right. And to see him evolve as one of the top power forwards in the game, it's been outstanding. When he scored that power play goal, it was significant in that he had tied a long-standing record. Camille Henry, who played in the 50s and the 60s, here was Chris Kreider tying an all-time franchise record. That means a lot to me as a fan and to me as a broadcaster, that I've been able to watch Chris's career evolve.
You were here for, obviously, all of Henrik's 15 seasons. You and I for 14 of those 15. I just got to ask you about what your feelings towards Henrik and what you saw and your calls and, speaking of Hall of Fame careers.
I think Henrik waited till the time was right, and he came, and when he came, he was ready. Now, they didn't put him right in right away. Kevin Weeks was the lead goalie when that season started, But then Henrik took over in mid-season and never looked back. And you talk about a player coming to the United States. I always tell people, think about it. If you had to go to another country and learn the language, learn the culture, learn the nuances of living in a city like New York, that would be very difficult. And Henrik came and embraced it and became an all-time hero and legendary player and Hall of Famer. I only wish he could have won the Stanley Cup, and I still will go down saying he got robbed in LA in Game 2. Rangers should have won that game, and the whole series would have been different against the LA Kings.
You're right.
Sam has this incredible capacity to exude the energy, to convey the energy of our game without getting carried away.
Drops it back. Schneider makes the move. Backhander, he scores! What a shot by Braden Schneider! An overtime winner!
He always has a calm about him, but with a level of emotion and enthusiasm that brings viewers closer to the game.
One of my memorable years is the Wayne Gretzky 3 years. Wayne Gretzky finished his career as a New York Ranger.
He looks, now he shoots. Score! It's a hat trick for Wayne Gretzky!
And we got to fly with him, John. All right?
He don't like flying. Holy smokes. I remember he used to call one pilot the Red Baron. So we get on the plane and he looked at the pilot, oh, duh, it's the Red Baron. He'd jump up and he'd go sit in the jump seat in the cockpit because he didn't like flying. He was afraid of flying, which a lot of people are. Adam Graves, ooh, he's another one that didn't like it. But for Wayne would just go up and sit there. You felt much more comfortable if he was watching the pilots take this airplane. He said, the Red Baron. That's how he talked. Yeah, it was, what an experience, though, to get to know people. Like,
yes.
I mean, Mark Messier, Wayne Gretzky, Jaromir Jagr, Pavel Bure for a little bit, Eric Lindros. It goes on and on
right.
and on.
The reason I think about Wayne is because, in my mind, the greatest player. I know Wayne defers to Gordie Howe, but I think Wayne was the greatest player ever. And just to be able to be around him and talk things, and he loves to talk baseball, and you know, it was you, me, and Wayne sitting up in the front of the airplane. It was so great.
Shot, score! It's a power play goal! J.T. Miller! It's a power play goal!
If you did, just say, 80 games a year for 40 years, that's 3,200 or whatever. My math isn't good, but so how many power play goals were scored during those 3,200 games? I mean, it's a power play goal.
Oh, God.
That's a trademark, which is fantastic.
Yeah, it's funny how things catch on, John. It just, you never know why something is going to happen or how something's going to happen. But I'm trying to remember, it might have been it was either the 86-87 or 87-88 season. That was like the only time they scored. It was on the power play.
On the rebound, score! It's a power play goal!
And it was, you know, they'd get on the power play, they'd score. And I think, if, again, my memory serves, I think they scored like 111 power play goals that year. And just somewhere along the season, it's a power play goal. The call itself, I go back to the days when I was doing public address announcing at Giant Stadium for the Cosmos.
Oh yeah, soccer team, yeah.
You know, they didn't have a lot of ton of fans. They did well as opposed to other teams in the North American Soccer League, but they wanted enthusiasm when the Cosmos scored. So Cosmos would score, and I go, that's a Cosmos goal. And now we get fast forward to the 87 year, and the Rangers are scoring, and it's a power play goal.
I've been in restaurants with you. I've gone through airports with you. I've been all over the place with you. And we'll be walking along together, and you could sense something, and the fans wouldn't go, or the people wouldn't go, hey, JD, Sam. They go, it's a power play goal. And you know it's a Ranger fan right there.
One of the things that I've always been impressed about with you, and this is 19 seasons with me, but it goes back to your previous 21, is that your enthusiasm for the game and for the broadcast has never changed. I mean, it comes out with your famous power play goal call.
Lafreniere played it down low, that shot, score! Will Cooley, it's a power play goal!
And that's been something that's just, it's never waned. I mean, I've in my years, I mean, I just, you know, there's days I'm going, I'm tired, you know, but you don't. So where does that come from, and how does that, is it as natural as it always seems?
I think so, Joe. For some reason, I've never been afraid of the camera. People sometimes get nervous in front of the camera, and I think it started with some of the classes that I took going all the way back to college, treating the camera as a person in the room. And I've always felt that I was looking forward to that. You know, here we are. We're prepared. I know I was prepared. I knew you were prepared. Previously, whether JD, Espo, I had to work a little with, but I always trusted you. You know, so I knew that when I was going on the air to open up and welcome fans in, we're ready to talk about anything. And we had our format. We knew where we were going, and I was looking forward to the game just as you were, and it made for a good time.
To a person, if you asked any Ranger fan, you know, when they talk about Ranger hockey, probably in their first 2 or 3 sentences, Sam Rosen's name would come up, because he's synonymous with class and certainly with who we are as a Ranger organization, and certainly the history, and he's been such a huge part of it.
You know, over our 19 seasons, Sam, we've sat in a lot of places, right? Right, in a lot of places. Most of them have been up high, but here we are on the ice. And so many years, you've been way up there looking down at this. How's this feel to sit here?
It's kind of really strange, but here's the logo. We've been looking at it for so many years, and here we are. How many face-offs we've watched, and I mean, it's been great. And the one thing that will stand out to me this season is when Wes McCauley stepped back and pointed up, and that was, what a touching moment that was for me. Wes has been such a terrific friend and great to talk with and meet with on the road and exchange conversations with, and then going back to his dad. So when he did that, boy, that made me feel special.
And now here we are, the celebration of Sam's season.
Hey, that's me!
What has this last year been like for you, going to these other cities, these other buildings, these other teams, and seeing the reverence that they have and the understanding of the impact you've had on this sport?
I think it's been heartwarming, to say the least, John. I mean, it's so rewarding to have that feeling when you walk into other buildings, and fans, players, coaches, and general managers that I know in other places acknowledge, and to have them put your face on the video boards and say thank you for the career that I've had. It's tremendously rewarding, and it makes me realize that, you know, it's been a great run, and that I've touched people, and I've been able to be successful in reaching people and letting them know. To me, it's always been one of the primary things that I've always felt is, Let them know how much you love the game.
Comes out in front, save, rebound, save. Oh, Anderson made 2 great saves.
Well, Sam, I know the way you talk about your life and your career and how fortunate you are, but I can say categorically, we are all fortunate to have had you in our lives as a Rangers representative for the last 40 years. I've said to people, it's one of the singular thrills of my career that somebody I met when I was in college, I got to call a colleague and a friend. And I tell people all the time, in a business where egos run rampant, you have none, and you're a better person than you are a broadcaster. So thank you for all
John, thank you so much. I mean, those words mean a lot to me. I've been lucky to work with people like yourself and people like Joe. It's always a pleasure to come in and smile and say hello. and I know you deal with your guys too in the pre and the post. But we've got a great team here, and I appreciate that very, very much.
I know you don't like to talk about yourself, and I just know that. You're a very humble person. And if I could just start this by saying this. New York City and the surrounding areas is a far better place because of what you've done to help everything become better. The hours and the days and the nights you've spent going to charity functions to raise money, never asking for anything in return, never saying no, which is remarkable. I just think it's a very special part of New York City and the area for what you've given them. When you think about your broadcasting career as it winds down, and you'll still be back at the Garden 100 times. It's not like life's ending here. But what do you think of the most? Do you think of it, is it family? Is it the fans? Is it? I've never seen a person, you always have time for the fans. It's fabulous. And that's 40 years worth. It's a special thing. So what do you think about when this winds down?
It's a little of everything, John, but I think that how lucky I am that I grew up in the city at a time when it was easy to root for all the major teams, and the Rangers were one of them. And I've spent all this time working with a team that I love and doing something that I love. I loved sports. I still love sports to this day, and it's an important part of my life, and it's remained that way. And just to be able to be part of the Rangers and to do what I've done as long as I've done it is very rewarding to me. We're lucky enough to have broadcast games involving the greatest players on the planet.
You never wanted to talk about yourself, and that's part of your greatness of both as a human being and a broadcaster. But over the course of the 40 years, I mean, okay, players are one thing and coaches and all that, but you mentioned JD, me, Espo, our good friend Dave Maloney, who you've worked with, so many other people that you've worked with doing national games and on radio, and you've left your mark on a lot of people, and not just as friends, but you've helped mentor us to make us as good as we can possibly be at the job that we have, and that's so lucky for us. And so, I feel so fortunate that I've been able to, to work with you all these years and keep learning and trying to get better. And you go down the list of the people that you worked with, Sam, and I know, just hold on a second. I know you don't like to say it, but we've been really fortunate to have you and for you to teach it. You've been the glue of our broadcasts forever. Well, you're the glue that makes this thing work.
Thank you, Joe.
And it's really appreciated by
it means a lot.
Not just me, but everybody.
You were the ones to explain it. I called, identified the players, made my calls. It's a power play goal. But you guys, you're the ones that explained the game. And I learned early on, and it was very important for me, that you were the guys that needed time to explain. And it's worked out okay.
See, there's your problem. You keep turning it to somebody else, and I'm trying to get you to talk about yourself a little bit.
But we share that. We share that. We share the booth, and we share the time.
Yeah, we're a team. Always have been.
The 2 years with Phil, 20 years with you, and 19 years with Joe. I mean, you can't ask for, as a broadcaster, as a play-by-play man, can't ask for anything better.
I would look at it the other way. There's Phil, there's myself, and there's Joe. We had one thing in common, Sam Rosen, and that was
the best.
Thanks, John.
Congratulations on everything.
Thanks, Joe.
Thanks for everything.
Thanks, Joe.
Thanks.
Means a lot.
Well,
big boy,
that was good. I really enjoyed it.
Thanks. Thanks for coming here.
Couple old guys talking about
great memories, John.
The memories.
You can never take that away from us. That's just special.